So I want to talk a little bit about the final presentations that you guys are going to be doing. And that's going to be over your memoir, like the culture specifically that you read about, that your character was encased in, that was causing the trauma maybe in their life, and anything that you find about that culture based on research that you do outside of the book. Keep in mind that research can be going to very credible sites on the internet, talking to credible people, going to credible documentaries, and looking at pamphlets that are credible, things like that. So credible is important. You have to prove credibility when you're doing your presentation for me. I have to trust you. I have to believe that the information you are sharing isn't hogwash. It has to sound trustworthy, believable. It can be documented. You can say, according to my history teacher, Miss So-and-so, and then give some information. You could say, according to this documentary that National Geographic put out called such and stuff, I saw that, blah, blah, blah. In the book itself, there was a point, and you might cite something in the book of what happened, what you learned from it that dealt with the culture. If there are multiple cultures going on in your book, for instance, let's use the color of water. You could research what it was like being an Orthodox Jew, being a Baptist or a Christian, being Black, being white, living in poverty in Harlem, New York City, 1930s, 1950s, 1960s. It spans quite a bit of time, the story. There are so many different cultures you can focus in on. My suggestion would be pick one. Pick one and then go into that. Or, for example, I have seen a presentation done before of what it's like being a Black child or a white child in a mixed race family, or being a child of parents of two opposite, completely different religions. You know, you can look at that type of a culture too, because I have had a lot of students who have been from families where mom was Jewish, dad was Christian, mom was Black, dad was white, mom was American, dad was Irish, you know, different things like that. So if you want to talk about living in that type of culture, you can do that too, which would definitely pertain to a book like The Color of Water. So even if you look at a book like if you read Angela's Ashes, you might decide that you really want to study the Irish culture, or you want to study the culture of poverty, living in a very extreme socioeconomic status of lifestyle, of living, of an area, whatever it is. And even with, like, if we're using Angela's Ashes as an example, you could even study what it's like living in a family where your dad is an alcoholic. And that becomes the culture of your family. Because of his alcoholism, it affects the lifestyle of the family and what they have to go through. So you can pick the culture that you want to research, that you want to study, that you want to share with us. So you'll do that. You'll use some information from the book itself, and you will use some information that you gather from an outside source, and then you'll put the two together. Keep in mind, when you do quality research, you'll probably gather a lot more information, or even cite a lot of things in your book, maybe with tabs, highlighters, whatever. And then you have to reduce and consolidate and organize. What am I actually going to use in my presentation so that I don't run over 5 minutes, so that it's concise and tight and it flows. One thing smoothly flows into the next, and my viewers can follow me with ease and they can comprehend what I'm sharing. So that takes a lot of work. So use your in-class time wisely going forward now, as well as your at-home homework time working on this. So I have the paper here in front of you, Final Presentations Over the Memoirs. It sets the goal to enlighten your peers on the culture, or if you want to mix a little bit and do more than one culture, that's fine, in which your memoir takes place. and share that information about the culture as how it fits into your book that you just finished or whenever you finish it. You'll finish it by the presentation, hopefully. Then I go through your objectives to clearly share details about the culture depicted in the book as well as what you get from research. So that's 1 and 2. Develop credibility with your audience, especially with me. So important that you prove to me you know what you're talking about. I've been doing this 30 years now. Please don't try to pull one over on me. Okay. Or if you just say, I'm going to just get even 10 points out of the 50, okay. But if you want to try to get 50 out of 50, you have to prove credibility. Really know what you're talking about. Practice, learn. Number 4, to have something visual in your presentation. And I give you examples in this handout. That can be the usual, a Google slide or more than one slide. And that's fine. That is the usual though. So if you like to think outside of the box, what could be your visual? Are you going to dress in garb that reflects the culture you're talking about? Like a costume per se? Are you going to bring in objects like show and tell? Are you going to make food that represents that culture that we can actually taste? You know, what are you going to bring in as your visual? And then number 5, you have to use strong presentational skills. We've already done 2 little ones. You've got practice under your belt now with getting up in front of people. You do presentations in other classes, and I am sure you've done presentations in other years. So really work on projecting your voice, enunciating clearly, looking at all areas of your audience, maintaining a strong posture, have control over your body language and your facial expressions, have passion for what you're talking about, some energy and enthusiasm, because we are your mirror. If you look scared, we're going to be scared watching. If you are, nervous, we're going to be nervous. If you are asleep and tired and, blah, that's how we're going to feel when we watch you. So do what you can to enhance your presentation with your facial expressions, your body language, your energy, and your enthusiasm. And then I go through here with all kinds of specifics. There's a rubric on Schoology. I highly recommend you look at it, just like the rubric for your paired interviews that you're going to be doing as you role play being the author. Each project's worth 50 points. That's 100 points. 100 points for these 2 projects. So look at the rubric carefully, and I will post who's going to present on which day in the next couple days. So you'll be able to see on the calendar what day you're scheduled to present. Keep in mind what I have right here. All presentations need to be finished before you leave for Thanksgiving break. So work ahead, try to avoid stress, use in-class time wisely, ask me questions. You know that I'm not going to be breathing over your shoulders. So you have to be self-advocates and come to me if you have questions about anything with this presentation. Okay, and there you have it.